Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Have a pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of WEF and All Ladies League for the interesting session today, which is the hot topic for today. In today's time is funders and founders. Has the equation changed during this pandemic time? I have a privilege of welcoming our moderator, Nisha Dhanuka, who's a co-founder of C2X and QuinFin Consulting Private Limited. We have in our panel Ms. Pushpalata MS, co-founder, director of Garbhagudi IVF Centers. We have with us Gurdeep Gill, who's also a founder of Giloid Ventures. Seema Chaturvedi, founder and managing partner, AWE Funds, chaired AWE Foundation. Akansha Hazari has not been able to join us right now in the panel, but maybe she'll join in between. So looking forward to interesting conversation on this topic. Over to Nisha.
Thank you, Archana. Thank you so much. So I welcome all the panelists. And I see on the panel, it's all women and Gurdeep is the only exception. So I thought let us make Gurdeep feel inclusive. I will start my introduction with Gurdeep with your permission. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely fine. It's a pleasure being with so many powerful women around me.
Thanks, Gurdeep. That's
yes.
Sure. Gurdeep Gill is born and brought up in Jaipur's renowned business family. Mr. Gurdeep Gill has been deeply inspired by the ethos and business ethic that runs in his family. Soon after doing his graduation, he moved to London to try his hand at business management at his uncle's firm. He brought back his learnings and leadership skills to focus on a homegrown brand that was proudly made in India. Apart from handling his family's business, which ranges from hospitality industry to logistics to transportation, Mr. Gill's passion and risk-taking ability led him to founding Giloit Ventures and Giloit Olives. With a forward-looking approach that is aimed at value for all, Giloit provides a large array of organically grown products along with indigenous olive tea, replacing less vitamin and mineral value green tea varieties. His customer centric business philosophy is directed towards bringing quality and value to customers. Thank you, Mr. Gill. We all welcome you to the panel today.
Thank you so much, everyone.
I hope I have not missed anything. Please feel free to add if I have missed any of the crowns in there.
No, ma'am. You've mentioned everything so beautifully. So
thanks, Gurdeep. Moving on to our next panelist, Ms. Seema Chaturvedi. Ms. Seema Chaturvedi has over 20 years of capital market and financial management experience. As an entrepreneur, investment banker, and investor, she brings a unique perspective to strategic planning and investment process. Ms. Chaturvedi is a founder and managing partner of Achieving Women Equity Funds, popularly known as OFF Funds, to invest in innovative enterprises which positively impact gender balance by investing in women-owned, led, influence companies in India, building on the investment thesis that investing in women businesses deliver both commercial returns and economic development impact. Ms. Chaturvedi is extremely passionate about promoting entrepreneurship in general and women entrepreneurship in particular. She founded and led as chairman TIE Global's Marquee Women Entrepreneurship Program, Project All India Roadshow for Women Economic Empowerment through Entrepreneurship, for which she obtained funding from US Department of State for an unprecedented 6 consecutive rounds of funding, and has directly mentored 575 women from 106 Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities in 20 states in India. These women further impacted 6,500 women through a Pay It Forward multiplier. She has promoted 2 chapters of Indus Entrepreneurs, a global organization with 61 chapters in 14 countries, with a mission of fostering entrepreneurship. She is a former member of TIE Global Board of Trustee and a first woman member of the board. Thank you, Ms. Seema, for coming for the panel discussion today. We will welcome you on behalf of Women Economic Forum.
Thank you, Nisha.
Glad to be here. I have missed on. Feel free to add.
You were great. Thank you.
Thanks, Seema. Moving on to our next panelist, Pushpalata. She founded and she's co-founded Garbhagudi Group of Companies, a chain of fertility hospitals. If you're based out of Bangalore, you will not miss this IVF Fertility Center. She is the founder and CEO of Stratasys Private Limited, an organization on a mission to support healthcare entrepreneurs to build sustainable, enduring enterprises. She has been a past president and investor, Iron Lady Community and Iron Lady Organization convener, IWN, CII, Health and Wellbeing Pillar. She has mentored to IIM Rohtak and Udaipur. Thank you, Pushpalata. Welcome on board as a panelist. Anything that I missed while introducing you, please unmute and feel free to add.
No, that was great. Yeah, thanks so much, Nisha. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll just give you a little background about me so that you know when I ask a question, with what right I'm asking the question. My background, I'm a chartered accountant. I've worked in bank, and my first venture was into training and development back 10 years back. In my 10 years of journey, I realized that when I go and meet funders, it's not easy to get funds, especially if you come from the fairer side of the society, being a female founder. 2 years back, I started my another venture called Quinfin Consulting Limited, which is into outsourcing industry, account outsourcing. And I realized that in these 2 years, I have seen pre-COVID and post-COVID, so I know the equation pre-COVID that, what was the equation between funder and founder. Startup industry was booming. Everybody was looking to invest into startups. And there were so many opportunities in India and globally. But suddenly, post-pandemic, investors also became very, very mindful about what kind of startups they want to invest into. The negotiation power somehow of the startups or the founders went down, and it was more about, they chase founders going and trying to get money to sustain the business. So keeping in mind all this, dynamics, I would like to start from Seema. Seema, you have been on the both sides, and I've spoken to you pre-pandemic also, and I'm talking to you post-pandemic also. What do you think about the equation? What has changed between funders and founders pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? And this question is for, I'll come to each one of the panelists, to take their perspectives and views about it. Over to you, Seema.
All right. Thank you, Nisha. Thanks for asking this question. And you're right, it's a very important question to keep our economic development going and the machinery being well oiled. Look, what you captured in terms of the struggles for founders and as having been made more difficult, I want to say was accurate for most till about May, June, July, August of this year. And I'm talking about in India. We are seeing a very, very robust activity now, given that there is a lot of factors at play, which are making the pendulum swing the other way. And we are noticing, and fundamentally, it is because there is a decent amount of money now within India, which is ready to be deployed. The risk appetite of this money is fairly high. And we are noticing that for the select set of companies that people think, the investors think are scalable, it's the pendulum has kind of swung back to the funders chasing the founders. And I know it's a great thing for the founders and entrepreneurs. The valuations have actually crept up back to not just pre-COVID levels, but in some cases higher than pre-COVID levels. And the industries that are hot are really being chased by funders, because recognize that the funders also, a few of them have benefited from their investors wanting to access India. Just geopolitically, there is the rise of consciousness of coming to India as, and I'm talking about investors outside India wanting to come to India to gain access as either a hedge to China or as just wanting to tap into the resurgence back of India from the COVID days. Within India, there's been significant exits through IPOs. So people are sitting on money. So there's and the markets have done extremely well. And the risk appetite of people, therefore has grown. So all of these are factors and that are kind of creating that perfect storm for founders to now benefit from that this new wave. So I would say the time is very good for founders to be raising money now.
Thanks, Seema. I think, if the founders are hearing, it's a very, very happy statement to leave you with. Moving on to Gurdeep. Gurdeep, what's your perspective?
As Seema ma'am said, that the time that has started now is one of the best times for the startups, for the founders. I believe in the same thing because there was one study that was done in which it said that there's a period of 11 to 13, 14 years in the economic cycle in which, suppose, let's say in one period, the economy will grow and things will be very good for all the startups, new companies coming in. In the second period, it will be a difficult period, like when you compare it to the first period. So I think now the time is in the favor of all the founders and all the startups and all the businesses. And yeah, the situation has basically improved quite a lot because of the technology, also because of the information that has been provided on YouTube and other platforms. I meet a lot of young students and people who are into startups, into businesses. And so I see people learning a lot online nowadays, which has given them a boost when it comes to taking their companies to a next level. So yeah, I think post-COVID, online content has increased, the quality of it has increased, and it's been much better compared to back then. And yeah, I think that's one thing that I see happening, because like I myself actively learn online. I do different courses, and yeah, similarly, a lot of people I am with. So we all rely on online mostly. Yeah.
Thanks, Gurdeep. Pushpa, what's your take on this? You have been expanding. Are you, seeking funds, or have you, do you want funding and is it not happening? What's your take on this?
Yeah, very good question, Nisha. So, like I think when we met last time, we were also reflecting, right? So today, after the pandemic, the equation has changed entirely. See, even if I've been part of Garbhagudi and one more organization called Iron Lady, where I'm also an investor. So there was a situation where we were in Garbhagudi, right? So we were not looking at any kind of investment, or not even looking at. We were thinking, we can grow much more faster and aggressively with our own funds. But right now, and also we were always thinking of expansion in a very traditional way before pandemic, right? So that pandemic taught us a lot of things in terms of streamlining our own process. And today I only spend 3 days in a week, and then I know how to handle all my 5 centers today. So sitting at wherever I am. So that way the equation on the other side has also changed, that founders who were looking at a very traditional way of expansion have broadened their horizons, and then they're ready to explore how can I today for me expanding pan India is a reality, right? I even though I used to think that it's a project for about 5 years or 6 years, I see today that timeline I can set it as within 3 years I can definitely look in pan India expansion for Garbhagudi. So that way the mindset and we as founders has also changed. And then when I was looking at organizations to invest, right? I always focus on women leadership, women empowerment, where there is some purpose to groom, support women. That way I found Iron Lady, which was a fantastic platform for me to explore. So one thing which I really loved, in terms of after pandemic, is that is organizations gearing for the next level of growth, right? Whether it is pandemic, post-pandemic. So only we are looking at, from the investment perspective, we are looking at if organizations are ready to gear up for this kind of growth, right? Then those are the potential ones where we should go and then invest. So that is how, both the sides, it's been a fantastic, actually a very good positive growth what we are seeing today. Even though I understand the challenges of pandemic, what we went through exactly in that timeline during that period, but it's been a different, altogether a different game, what I'm seeing at the both the sides.
Thanks, Pushpa. I completely concur with your thought process that, the way we used to look at business, the expansion has completely changed. What we thought that will achieve in 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years timeline, it has shrank. And as you said, now you're looking at only at within a 1 year, 2 year. And I know that when you were discussing about your growth plan, it looked very realistic as well. So, Seema, coming to you, now you said that, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, now you are chasing founders. So when I say you, the investors or the funders are chasing founders. So what kind of founders are you chasing? What are your, the industries that you're focusing on?
Well, I can only speak to our thesis, and I should say, so we, by the way, are an investor that invests with a gender lens, and we invest in what we call innovative enterprises that promote gender equity. We are investing in 5 sectors: food and agri. So these are tech-enabled companies in health, food and agri, sustainability, which includes climate, education, and fintech. And we are essentially, I want to say, when I say we chase founders, I don't mean to suggest that we chase every founder. What we are trying to do is back companies which we think can scale, and we're not shy about, and we don't have the ego to say we are the investors, so we will not come talk to you. If we see something that is a defensible value proposition, which can scale, has some level of intellectual property or some level of defensibility that gives it a good moat, we will chase after it very aggressively. We will actually bring co-investors with us, such that the company does not have the problems that companies did have when COVID struck, which was a very shortened runway. So we've all got to get smarter about having learned from those lessons. So, the companies that we're chasing are the companies that we think will have taken, will also have the benefit of our institutional investing support and be able to bring in additional rounds of funding such that they grow and the ecosystem grows.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, on Seema, so you said that, now has anything in your approach changed pre-COVID and post-COVID? Like how you used to look at the companies when you are, getting them, funding them. So has anything changed? Any needle change that has happened pre and post-COVID?
Definitely. I think the focus is on making sure that the company has sufficient cash for sure. And, we were all kind of caught flat-footed because obviously nobody had lived through a pandemic before in their lives. And the whole notion that you have enough was never considered as seriously. And so now there is, at least from our investing style, we are very mindful of saying how much runway is this company getting through the funding. And that's why we are seeing there's greater ability to be collaborative with other investors. Earlier, the whole idea was this is my deal and nobody else can touch it because I want to be that one who comes in and edge everybody out. I'm seeing greater flexibility in wanting to be collaborative because people are saying, look, we have to ride on the networks of each of the investors and not just depend on our own, because everybody has finite networks. And so that is a very strong positive in just driving the whole community for investors.
Fair enough. Absolutely. So even investors are becoming collaborative, let's spread the risk. So
and the reward
because, absolutely,
yeah.
And the reward, absolutely. So Gurdeep, now you have been you have come from London, and so I'm also this venture of yours, Gillette Ventures, and your Gillette Olives. So what has changed in terms of you dealing with things pre and post COVID, especially from investor lens?
Actually, this startup, it began during the COVID times.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I have not had much experience with a lot of investors in my companies as of now, because initially when we started business, the first lockdown period was about to get over, and we were all excited and pumped up. We'll be generating good sales. So basically, what we are doing is Olive Tea is a product that only I am manufacturing in bulk in India as of now. Olive tea is not being made anywhere out of India as of now. If it is, they're just adding olive tree leaves to the teas. That is another case. So, like how I see this project was more like a commodity. There are limited farms in India that produce olive tea, and I'm the one who's working with over 30 farms as of now. So, with the limited production and a target market being direct selling companies, we were very confident and sure that maybe we might not even be needing any investors in our venture, because when you connect with this direct selling companies, they already have a very well established network which generates amazing cash flows. But now, after the second wave and the delays, I see a change in a lot of our buyers, that they're hesitant towards buying and starting now. So because of that delay, that is something that hit my company in the financial terms. Like, we had to burn cash to keep the teams running, to support the farmers that we're working with. In the farms also, we're supporting women employment. So we are giving more and more chance to women from the villages, from the farms, and even in my factory also, to work with us. So yeah, now I think seeing the market, seeing the response of the product, uh, I believe that now I am more inclined and open towards getting investors for my project also, because I see a lot of potential in olive tea plus hydroponic farming. So eventually, the next step, what we are thinking and planning for our project, would be introducing hydroponic farming with the olive tea. So using that, we'll have a lot of exotic flavor that we'll be adding to the tea that are not usually found in India or which are very rare. Plus, I'm also connected with a lot of Ayurvedic, let's say, uh, Ayurvedic lobby, in which I have a lot of veggies, some old ones, some very modern, and it's a vast variety basically. So they're all supporting me with making things that are of value, like genuine value. Like if if you have enough time, I'd like to share a small story. Like, one of the reasons why I started this company was, so basically, all of us know Kabir Das ji. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I'll be speaking in Hindi for a while. So वो अपनी रजाई बेचते थे बुन के, और बहुत प्यार से उसको करते थे, and वो करके उन्होंने भगवान को पाया. So वो जिसको भी रजाई देते थे उसको बोलते थे कि आप इसको बहुत संभाल के रखना कि मेरा राम इसको पहनेगा. So I was hearing someone on YouTube, and ये story मैंने सुनी, and I was very touched with this. And after some time, I got into this startup, and me and my team, like, I shared this story with all of them, and in the same way कि हम अगर ये चाय बनाएंगे तो इसको इतने सही तरीके से, इतने प्यार से, इतनी अच्छी क्वालिटी से बनाएंगे कि हमारा राम इसको पिएगा. So the way I see my team working now compared to how they used to work before I shared this vision with them, and the other companies that I'm working with, there's a huge difference. And our product speaks for itself. The people who have consumed it, it's just phenomenal. Like, everybody's left the other green teas they were consuming. Like, even in my house, like, since the day one we started having it, everybody was just they just forgot what regular green tea was basically.
Wow.
So
Thanks, Gurdeep. I think, the moment Seema said food and agri, and it sounded more like a pitch. So,
I mean, like, look, it's something that I want more and more people to know. What we
Absolutely.
believe in, and मैं क्या लेके आ रहा हूँ. This is a
Bilkul, bilkul,
commodity. This
Gurdeep.
is
It
scalable.
was
This is something good.
absolutely, it was on a lighter note. I totally could see the passion that you're talking. And when you narrated that story, it's so beautiful that, when you make something, it's always, if you keep that, the client is God and we are serving God. So it was completely on a lighter note. Seema was also hearing the story very passionately. So, thanks, Gurdeep. In fact, I would definitely love to try your green tea very
Oh,
soon.
certainly, I'd
Yeah.
ship it over to everyone in the town.
I'm coming to Jaipur. Don't worry. You don't even
Oh,
have
wow,
to.
lovely.
Very soon, within 15 days, I would be there. So, Pushpa, coming over to you now. Seema has to leave at 4:30. Seema, is that thing still on? So I think we won't hold you back. You already informed us. So any closing thoughts, and then I'm going to take it forward with Pushpa and Gurdeep. I'm not leaving you guys before 5. So okay.
Sure.
So Seema, any closing thoughts on the topic?
No, thank you. And I'm sorry that I do have to cut off earlier. I have to say what Gurdeep and Pushpa are doing are very commendable. And, I do want to tell all the founders out there that, you know, keep the hope up and the passion up, because fundamentally you are the drivers of the country's growth, and a lot, including the vision that Prime Minister's laid out for India, is resting on your shoulders. So the jobs that you're doing are, I think the country owes you deep gratitude. So keep doing what you're doing and keep creating economic value, because as you do, the value increases, and the funders are there to be your cheerleaders and to champion you on in your journey. So thank you so much for inviting me, and we're back to you, Nisha.
Thanks, Seema. Thank you so much, and to all the people who are listening to this panel discussion. Thank you so much, Seema. I have known Seema for quite some time, and a very, very approachable investor, I would say. If you have a good case, please do reach out to her. And so, thank you, Seema, founder of Fund. Thank you so much, Seema.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Seema. It was fantastic listening to you.
Thank you,
Let's
Pushpa.
catch up sometime. Yeah.
For
Thank you.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Pushpa. All right, Gurdeep. Bye-bye.
So continuing, Pushpa, now you said that you never sought funds for expansion of your Garbhaguri, right? But at the same time, you had surplus fund which you wanted to invest into women-led ventures. So what are the certain ventures, or what are the kind of people you invest into?
Yeah, like how I said, Nisha, I always look forward for companies where there is some, women empowerment, or there is, women leadership is my key focus area. And also I look forward for companies wherein there is an purpose for which, right? We call that as an exciting why, like how Gurdeep was mentioning. Finally, it is for entrepreneurs, it is that is what drives us, right? So
Correct.
for investment or to work with passion. So I always look for that purpose. What is that they're all working towards? Is there a cause for which they're working? So with Iron Lady, I found that saying it's 1 million women at the top is their purpose, division. So that really excited me, and then I started being a part of that organization. And at Garbhagudi, it is for us that Garbhagudi Info, university eradicating infertility. So anything and everything when it comes to women, and then doing something for society excites me, Nisha. So that is where I look forward to being a part of the company, either as an advisor or as an investor. Definitely to begin with as an advisor. I worked with Iron Lady at the top level for about 2 years, and then realized the potential of the company, and then I felt like I could connect at every moment with the vision and the purpose of the organization. That's how I invested. So that is what I look into.
Fair enough. Absolutely. I think that's very, very important. Somehow, I also interact with a lot of startups, and everybody, somehow, at least 30% of them, the purpose is there, but it's all about raising funds. They all want to raise funds, and the drive is not to get the problem solved. The drive is to how soon I can get funded, So that race is somehow, the entire intent or the objective to make a business sustainable is somehow lost. especially in the startup world, is what I see. The moment you go and incorporate, they say, within 2 years I want to raise funds. For what? As an investor, I think I have a pool of investors. The very first thing is, what's the purpose of the only thing you want to get funded, and then burn cash and this. So I think, yeah, the purpose is very, very important. And most of the investors, and I think both of you will agree if you're sitting on the investor chair, is that I don't invest in businesses. I always invest in the founders or the promoters. Businesses can grow, fail, but the promoters are committed. They will definitely work it through. So Gurdeep, you are sitting in Jaipur. We are from Bangalore, me, Pushpa, and Bangalore is a hub of startups. Both of us, I think, interact with so many different business ideas. We see so many creative and crazy business that are running and doing well. So, what give some perspective from your Jaipur point of view? Would love to know how the funders and the founders chemistry work there.
So I think Jaipur compared to Bangalore is a pretty let's say a pretty laid back city. But recently, I think during this COVID time, I'm seeing more and more people getting into creating their own companies, building their own startups. And like earlier, it was very difficult to find somebody who's doing a genuine work when it comes to creating a company, creating value. And now it's comparatively more easy to find people who are into this. There are cafes, there are co-working spaces where, like, whenever I go, I see a lot of people who are working on different projects. And I myself have mentored over 30 kids till date who are dealing with, let's say, depression, stress, issues with their families, and them getting into the business side, starting their own thing. So
Mhm.
I think I'm pretty good at motivating people to do their own thing, be powerful, and then, like find your own mission, vision, and values. So in Jaipur, when it comes to investors, it's pretty difficult to find investors, because I think Jaipur ka generally there is a saying कि यहाँ से जेब से पैसा निकालना मुश्किल है लोगों को.
Kahin se bhi, that's difficult anyway. Don't worry.
Nahin,
Irrespective of.
compared to other states, I think Jaipur is one of those states जहाँ पर
Uh,
it's a huge challenge, because
mhm,
in cities like Bangalore, people are well aware. They meet a lot of good people, educated people, and they know what's going on way more
mhm,
than
mhm.
the
Correct.
people
Yeah.
in Jaipur. The exposure is less.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
that's why people only invest in very limited industries, real estate,
Mhm,
stocks, or some startups that they know will work for sure, or some family businesses who are reinventing their business or going online, or projects like that.
mhm,
So
mhm.
now, one thing that I've seen rising in Jaipur is interest of people in crypto. So
Uh-huh.
I'm in cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, from 2016, and I have a group of over 300 people from Jaipur itself who invest, and me and a few boys with me. Like, it's a team basically.
Mm,
So
mm.
we all give them tips, we all work, and then things like that happen. So now people just compare the profits of cryptos and any other startups, and everybody is more inclined towards nahi yaar, crypto mein dalo paisa. So
Uh,
that is
I know
something
now.
that
Now from where you are getting your funding, why you don't need funds.
Yeah. Like, seriously, that was the thing. I've invested over 30 lakh rupees in the business till date, and yeah, I got most of that from cryptos itself.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. We should connect with him, Pushpa.
sure. Because you know what?
Definitely, Nisha. So fix the
Yeah.
meeting.
So what I believe is ki, to be able to make people self-sustaining.
Correct.
If I can teach somebody to be self-sustaining, there is nothing bigger and better than that. They
True.
can make their own money, they can live their own lives, do what they want. This is what I do with the NGOs that I'm working with. There is a school in Jaipur, I'm working with that. And so I teach things to them which make them self-sustaining, be it investing, be it learning, be it training of any sorts. So yes, I think every company should have a certain portfolio of cryptos, because you never know when you might get hit by any any variable. Could be economical, political, or any other thing. So having a good, strong cryptocurrency portfolio would be like a very strong backup. Like, I'll tell you a story of one guy. He was a very old driver of mine, and he was like, भैया आप जो करते रहते हो मेरे को भी उसमें थोड़ा इन्वेस्ट करना है, and just guide me through that. मैंने उसको बोला, मैं क्या देख तेरे अंदर पेशेंस है? बोला हाँ है। मैंने बोला आप 3-4 लाख रुपए जितने इकट्ठे हो, उसने बोला 4 हो जाएंगे। मैं कहा 4 लाख इकट्ठे करो और इन करेंसीज में डालो और उसको 4-5 साल के लिए भूल जाओ। And he did the exact thing. And when I checked his portfolio a couple months back, he made a profit of 2.5 crore rupees, 2.4 something.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So
I think
now,
I believe everything, Gurdeep. I'm ready to become your driver.
so that is the only guy जिसने full sincerity से मेरी बात सुनी, मानी, and he did what I told him. Other
Wow.
people were like, नहीं यार बेच दो. They were panic selling. They were doing a lot of other things. And
Wow.
so yeah, now he's well settled. He's making decent money. He's sent his kids to Canada for their studies, which he could never even imagine in his previous life.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful. I think crypto has both pros and cons. So at least, you are very pro. So let's stick to the pro.
Sorry.
See, now Archana is saying you need to share your contact number with us all, or you are getting a lot of fan following after hearing the 2.4 crores.
Sure. I'd love to, I'd love to help you guys, guide you with it. Because, there are a lot of Ponzi schemes that are coming out there, and where this much, you'll get this much. And I prefer to divide the risk very
Even
smartly.
Archana wants to be a driver. Please buy a few more cars.
Yeah, I just came back from Jaipur. I don't mind driving you, Gurdeep. I learn a lot.
Archana, you are in the queue.
So, no, I'd love to do it with any startup that's coming up and any company that is going, and like with anybody who's running a business or doing a job. They should maintain a good portfolio of cryptos, like top 10, 20 currencies. Just hold them for 2-3 years. You'll see 50x, 60x growth, which is more than any business could sustain. I think one of the challenges that a lot of startups are facing is with the cash flow. They're unable to generate the cash flow. There are so many brains, and it's difficult to give one right direction to that company. There have to be many trials till they find the right path. So to have that decent supply of cash flow when the time is tough, this is something that can be done with like 5%, 10% of the revenue that's being generated. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the research in US, it was done. They said that 82% of the starters fail because of bad cash flows.
Yes.
So if you can really manage your cash flow, and a lot of starters confuse cash with profits, both are not. So I think a very valid point. Pushpa, you said you invest into, organization or ventures, which is primarily women led or held somewhere or some other way to empower women. So at what stage do you invest into these companies? At idea level, at angel level, at what level, and what's your ticket size?
Yeah. So usually I look for, like I said, I look for working with supporting them in establishing their model. Okay. So initially 2 years, if it is an idea stage, I work with them to bring in that go-to-market strategies and then ensure it becomes a viable product in the market. Okay. So that is, and then I work with them for 2 years and then ensure that there is a right business model. And then even if I go in as an investor or as an advisor, there is a value which I can add in the company. So that is what I look forward if it is a startup stage, right? Either ideation or in the beginning stages of the business. But if it is a company or a business being there for about 5 years, 6 years, and then they're either struggling to, like how Gurdeep was mentioning, one of the biggest challenge what every business go through is the cash flow challenge. So if they are struggling to scale up, or if one of the reason for scaling up is the cash flow, or scaling up, one of the reason can be in terms of their own strategies, unable to switch over to the new models or whatever, then that is the where I work with them. Even there, I work with that organization at least for 1 year, minimum 1 year, to understand, is that the right model for me to invest? Okay. So I go in as an advisor, work closely with them. It's not that I go and evaluate them, but I work closely with them. Along with the evaluation, I ensure I bring in a lot of value to them, grow their business, scale their business, give them the support, whatever is needed, if it is either the startup or the scaling business, and then ensure they come into a stage where they're investor ready, investment ready. Okay, and then I go with my investment, or I suggest them, if it is not in my own purview of in my investment, my contacts and networks, and then that's how I support them at every stage, Nisha. And somewhere coming to the ticket size, am I audible, Nisha?
Yeah, you're audible, absolutely audible.
Okay, yeah. So coming to the ticket size, I always look for, if it is an ideation stage, that based on it is not that I'm too concerned about the ticket size, but I look for, if it is a startup or an ideation, somewhere around 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs, that would be ideal for them to even take the investment and do some justice for that, right?
Okay.
So if it is a scaling, then their entire dynamics are entirely different. Their investment dynamics and the need for that organization will be entirely different. So somewhere about 30 up to 50 lakhs, right? That is where initial investment I support them with based on their need, and then we'll take things forward as I work with them closely. So I understand whether it is going in the right direction, not right direction. So that is how I work. Yeah.
Absolutely. Pushpalata,
So thank you, guys. I just wanted to give a heads up to the fact that we have only 6 minutes left.
Don't worry, I have time. We'll get.
I'm sure, Nisha.
Yeah.
I looked at the chat. There's been no chat from the audience, but I think, Nisha, it will be good that you also should explain about your venture. You're also founder.
I will do that. Absolutely.
Before we wind up.
Yeah. So, Pushpa, so valid point, as you rightly said, that most of the startups, they have to be investor ready, and handholding them is a very, very important step that most of the startups miss on. They straight away go to the funders, and that's where they miss on getting the funding, and then they say that the investor don't want to invest into. But before investing, you have to become investor ready. So again, for the benefit of audience, my venture name is Twinfin Consulting. I'm a chartered accountant, and my company is into finance and account outsourcing. So what we do, we are sitting, we help our clients to completely outsource their accounts and finance to us. We say that you have started this business having some expertise in a particular product or services. So please focus on that. You outsource, you give your accounts and finances, which are very, very critical, managing your cash flow, managing your compliances. Let us experts take care of that, and you focus on building or creating a market for your product or services, and we take care of your account, finance, compliances. Because when you start your business, India is one country where it is maintaining your accounts and compliances is not an easy thing. People who are into business would know that you miss one compliance as a huge penalty. So that is our forte, and we also help companies to raise funds both through equity and debt. So that is what we do we are into, and have been working with clients across India. So that is about me. Very, very passionate about entrepreneurship, especially women entrepreneurs, and like to connect them to fund houses which are which are into impact investments. So where they focus on investing into women-led ventures. So thank you, Gurdeep. Thank you, Pushpa. I think within this short discussion, you brought very, very important topic. Pushpa, I really like the fact that you said that when you invest, it's not always into the venture, it's the purpose that they've started the venture into, and to make them investor ready. That handholding is very, very critical and important from the founder's point of view, and from the funder's point of view, it makes all the more ready, that these people are ready to be invested into. They know where to use the money and how to make that money grow their business. And Gurdeep, thank you so much. Your perspective into saying that when you're starting a venture. It is with so much of passion and purpose behind the venture that you spoke about, the beautiful story that you spoke about, and that how important it is to keep some other source of income coming in. Of course, in your case, it's a clear cut cryptocurrency, but there are a lot of other ways of making passive income where you're struggling to get your active income in place. So I think on that note, thank you so much. Seema, she's not around, but she also brought very, very valid points saying that, there's enough opportunities right now in the market, and the equation is only bettered between founders and funders. Funders chasing founders with good business plan and good, tech-enabled businesses. So on that note, Archana, over to you. I am done. And if Gurdeep and Pushpa has to add anything, they can add. They still have 1 minute to, wrap the show.
Yeah, but thank you so much. The whole conversation has been very interesting. From my perspective, my takeaway is you guys are not just entrepreneurs or a founder of a startup. You're also, helping hand to others around you in the ecosystem. And that speaks volumes about each one of you. You're making a difference on the way, not just through your project, but also helping others on the journey. So that's really great, inspiring. And then Gurdeep, I definitely will take your number. Pushpa, when I'm in Bangalore, I'll meet up with you, and Nisha, we have 2 places to meet up.
Absolutely.
I have on behalf of WEF, Women Economic Forum, and All Ladies League, I have the privilege of honoring you, each one of you, the award from their behalf. All of you get Exceptional Leader of Excellence Award. All of you, each one of you. In fact, you deserve much more. And you will be getting the award by email within 15 days. It was really nice interacting with all of you. See you soon. Keep in touch and keep shining and keep lending your helping hand all the time. Yeah, I'm also there to learn from all of you, each one of you. We'll touch base. Thank you so much. See you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
You.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Gurdeep. Thanks,
Archana.
Pushpa. Thanks, Archana. See you all
Thank
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you, Pushpa
Thank-
ma'am. Thank you, Nisha ji. Thank you, Archana ji.
Yeah, Gurdeep. See you soon in Jaipur.
Certainly.
We can leave the meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Archana.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Fantastic
Thanks.
catching
Thanks.
up. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye
Pushpa.
bye.
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 Un nimiscio.